Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Today we're very excited to review Woodcraft. This game plays 1 to 4 players from Delicious Games, and I picked it up from Essenspiel 2022.
Yes.
So this is this year's release, and this is by Vladimír Suchý and Ross Arnold.
Yes.
So the Vladimír Suchý.
Indeed.
So we're going to do an overview first before we share you our thoughts.
So this is all of what will be set up in Woodcraft, and Woodcraft is a game where each player has a wood crafting workshop and is going to be building stuff out of wood. That's really what the game is all about, and fundamentally it's a contract fulfillment game where you'll be using dice representing wood to create these things out of wood. As we said, it's designed by Vladimír Suchý and Ross Arnold. Suchý, of course, was the designer of Underwater Cities, and you'll see a couple of things in the pacing of this game that are reminiscent of that. In particular here, the game plays over 14 rounds, and then there's a series of sub-scoring and sub-incomes that will come every 3 or 4 rounds, which is a little bit like what Underwater Cities had. Over here, we've got the action selection board. So this is where you choose your actions. There are 7 different actions in the game, each represented by one of these tiles. This looks very complicated. It's not quite as complicated as it looks here. But there'll be a leading edge, which is wherever this needle is. You can choose any one of the tiles that you want to do the action that's on the tile, and then you advance that tile to the next quadrant. So you treat it as being 4 quadrants. So if I wanted to take this action, let's say I wanted to take this action, I would take that tile, I would advance it to the rear of the next quadrant. And you can pick any action unless it's in the forward quadrant and it would push the needle past something in the back quadrant. So right now, this action has to be taken before any one of these 3 can be taken. The other way that this plays out is that the longer it's been since someone's taken an action, the more bonuses you get for that action. And there's bonuses on the outer rims of the wheel, and there's bonuses on the inner rim of the wheel. So if I were to take this action, for example, I would get one of these wooden cubes, which I haven't described yet. There we go. One of these wooden cubes. And I would get a blueberry, which is essentially a coin.
A currency.
Currency of the game. Before advancing this and doing the action. So that's really how it works. It's kind of, we've seen this sort of mechanism before, often in a straight line. I remember Tribes Dawn of Humanity had something like that. The longer it had been since any player had taken an action, the more expensive the action would be. In this case, it's kind of like that, except you get more bonuses the longer it's been. I think I said the Tribes one wrong.
I think so. I was thinking
the longer it's been, the less you pay.
Yeah, the more powerful, basically the more benefit you get. Actually, a lot of games are like that in terms of, okay, if this card is not being chosen, they get an extra coin, an extra bonus and things like that.
Yeah, that simplifies it even further, really, doesn't it? That's really what this wheel is doing, just in a big circular, complex-looking way. So that's what's going on over here. Now, what are the actions? Really, it's all about getting wood and building stuff. So you can buy wood from down here. Again, you're using currencies to do that. You can sell some of your existing wood at double its value and then buy wood from the supply. You can upgrade your workshop. So you'll see here you start with a saw blade and a couple of things. You can buy more trees, you can buy more saw blades and things like that. And when you've got trees, there we go. When you plant trees, every turn these are going to level up in value because a higher number tree is more. A higher number die has more wood in it, essentially.
And sells, you get more money out of it.
You can recruit helpers, so these helper cards here, these come with production benefits, ongoing benefits, immediate benefits, things like that. You can buy some of the game's other helpful components, so bits of scrap wood, extra saw blades and glue, and you can take more contracts. Then you've got a series of free actions that will let you try to build these items. Ultimately, to construct something, you need to have exactly the dice showing on here, because of course you can't, you can't make a pair of shoes out of a 3 and a 4 because they'd be different sizes. You need 2 3s. And that's where all your workshop stuff comes in handy. So each of these workshop tiles that you have, you can use once between income phases, and they will let you manipulate your dice. So you can spend saw blades to cut dice. Say I cut this 5 into a 2 and a 3, and I could use more saw blades to cut even further. I could use the splicing tool here to splice this bit of wood into this die and increase its value by 1. If I've gained the ability to glue, then I could use glue and glue 2 pieces together to make it much bigger. And really, you use all of these things to try to manipulate these dice into exactly what you need to fulfill a contract. Contracts will then give you money and points. They may give you tool tokens, which you'll build up in your attic here. This is a mechanism where if you build it up, you can get some good benefits by non-matching up tiles. So having tiles that don't match each other being adjacent, you'll start getting benefits. And you can also get reputation, which is this one here. It'll move you up on this track. You can get some incomes as well. And this will tell you how many points all of your completed contracts will be worth at the end of the game. There's a time limit on these contracts, so at each income phase, they're going to move down your board and be worth less from a reputation or income standpoint. You'll play over the 14 rounds, and whoever has gathered the most points over that time will be the winner. And that's the game.
What do you think, Tarrant?
Yeah, it's not a bad little Euro game. It's a contract fulfillment game, which is not always my favorite. I'm not always gravitated towards that. Sometimes I feel that's just like the easy way of. It's like the most familiar, kind of typical way of turning resources into points. But it does work pretty well, and I like the puzzle that you've got on your individual board here.
Is it the draw, luck of the draw? Sometimes the top deck. That's also another thing for contract fulfillment, I guess, for you.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes why I gravitate away from it. But you've got your choice of contracts that you can take from the board here, and I do like the puzzle, the fact that you're not just getting the colours of dice, but you're getting. You've got to choose how far you build up your workshop, because that will give you the flexibility to make all of your contracts work. So I thought from the individual puzzle standpoint, this is quite a good Euro game. The action selection side of things, we say this almost every time we have a game where we talk about how much interaction there is between players, and I tend to like a bit more. This one is kind of, I think, in a middle ground, because while my actions generally don't impact your choice of actions and vice versa, there is still a timing element to when you take your action, because obviously you want to try to get more bonuses by taking the actions earlier, or sometimes you just desperately need the actions that have been there. Yeah, the ones with more bonuses.
Yes.
And sometimes you desperately need that bonus to complete the contract. So you do need to think ahead to make sure you've got everything in place before the income phase. So it's an interesting thing to think through, and I think that's quite good.
I quite like the game, actually. I probably like it more than you. I enjoy playing it. Now, the first game that I had is that I fell into the trap of not doing well in this track. Now, you need to do well in this track, because then at the end of the game, the contract worth 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and so on, depending on that. So I was focusing on filling the contract, getting the right dice, personal puzzle here, and the rondel action. This is really interesting. I do like the fact that timing of the action, that's very important, as you said. And the longer an action has been left behind, the powerful it could be because, well, not necessarily, or timing it right so that there are bonus like this one here, and there's bonus at the bottom when you take it and then move it to the next quadrant. That's really interesting. These helpers could be really good to help you with your personal puzzle. And one thing that I like, and Tarrant's probably not particularly like, I'm guessing, is the lantern. So please bring in the lantern. Now,
The lanterns.
the lantern!
This
So-
is the other thing we always argue
disagree.
about.
So-
When we,
I like when a game like this, there's already a lot going on, there's already a few things that you need to consider. I need to have a oh no stuff moment, and this is the lantern. This is where it comes handy. So what does it do? When you want to take an action, you can take, for example, this one still, spend a lantern, and do this action, take the style, put it there as usual, you still get the bonus, but you can...
not that one, because it's going across.
Sorry, yes, let's just do this one.
Yeah.
So take the bonus, whatever, at the bottom, take the bonus if any, but instead of doing whatever that is says here, you can do anything, any other actions. So if you're desperate, if you really want to take any actions there, then the lantern is my lifesaver. And if you have 3 lanterns, then you can do another action.
Another main action.
Another main action. So that is really powerful and used sparingly, but that's probably the difference between you and me. The lantern.
Yeah, it's always one of those things where it feels like it makes the game more forgiving, but I'm not going to pass judgment because this has been play tested, and there's 2 possibilities, right? It was play tested without that lantern option, and then they decided that people weren't able to get that one thing they needed too often, and just needed to introduce a way to make that happen. We could have a philosophical argument about this and how forgiving the forgiving option is in games these days.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was able to use it to good effect.
So what do you think? Have you played this? What do you think about this lantern option? Are you the type that likes this forgiving thing, or do you like it more punishing like Tarrant? Let us know in the comments. I'm interested.
Yeah,
And
definitely the 2 things it allows you to do.
Yes.
Sorry, you're holding.
No, I was going to say there are 2 other things that I have mentioned, and I find this really interesting. On your player board, there's a reference of buying victory points.
I forgot.
Yeah, buying victory points with the currency, which is blueberries. This is really cute. And the first time you buy 2, you get 1 victory points, and then you move it here. So the next time's 2, you get 2, and so on. So that's another thing that you have to think of. You want to try to make sure you have some blueberries left over so that you'll be able to buy victory points. And the second one is the tree mechanics. So when you planted the tree, now this is quite competitive, I feel, because any improvement on your board, then just using this tile. So this is again where the lantern might come handy. So when you planted the tree, you put this, you put a new die from supply, not your own.
Yes.
And this actually, every start of your turn, it grows 2. Now, when you sell it, this is a good way of getting money because, again, money, aka blueberries, hard to get, and you want to get points. So this is a really interesting one, and then you can add that, and it grows, and then you can, when you put a die here, you can also split. So later on in the game, once it's gone, you have an action to allow you to put more dice here, and you can split it while doing that. So 5 into whatever, 3 and 2 for free.
Yeah, it's kind of a free cut. You can only plant 1s and 2s, but if you've got the cut action, you could just slice this down to a 4 and pop the 1 in the bot.
Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting mechanic, timing mechanic. You want to do it first. You probably want to kind of do it first before other things, but then there are so many other things that you want to get, like these helpers, these addict tiles, which gives you income, influence, or reputations, whatever it's called in there.
Yep, reputation.
Reputation, sorry. So yeah, I think this has got really interesting challenge, and not to mention, the artwork I think is pretty cute. I mean, look at this. Is this a wooden Crocs? Come on, this is a Crocs. And then it's a wooden Crocs. Wooden paddle and wooden mini toys train. It's cute.
Yeah, I really like the art as well. It's got a real quaintness to it. More so than the things we're building. I just really like these helpers. They're just like these little earnest green-haired people. They've got like, they're small because the blueberries are like the size of basketballs to them. And you know, some of them have little blueberries in the background.
Right.
This guy's holding a lantern. And
It's quite thoughtful.
Yeah, and even if you look at I quite like the box art as well. It's one of the cuter box arts here. It's just this, I'm just going to
Craft some dye.
make a die.
Yep.
Yeah, and then there's working in the background, blueberries.
And the tattoo of Delicious Games tattoo there. This is just little things. By the way, this box did not survive properly when I brought it back from Essen.
Yep.
There's a little bit of a dent. It's sad to me, but at least the inside is intact.
Yep.
Everything's intact. Nothing's gone. And there's also little bits of race between players for interaction.
Yeah, there's a few other things that I didn't mention everything. These are public objectives that you can take. They kind of, this is where I come back to, there's got some similarities with Underwater Cities. In this case, it's like the special 3 cards. You can kind of race for those and get that in-game scoring objective before other players. This timing was very much like that. It's just not as directly competitive a game as Underwater Cities because it doesn't have the competitive worker placement element. It's got this more forgiving action wheel.
There's one thing actually I like. It's not 2, there's 3. Oh, I probably already say 4 now. But the fact that when you get contract, it goes to, let's say this one, you see 1 here, 1 blueberry, you put it corresponding here. But then every income or...
Yeah, every income phase.
Income phase, thank you. You move it once. So it gets there. When it gets there, you actually lose point as well when you fulfill this contract. If you could not if you could not fulfill it, you actually lose 2 reputation, and that's really bad.
Yeah, this is quite a... you want to avoid this. It stops you... Maybe it's primarily there just to stop you from grabbing contracts ahead of other players.
Yeah. Make sure that you have a way of fulfilling it before you take the contract.
Yep.
Or think of a way or trying.
But it's also, because this reputation is worth quite a lot of points, it gives you a real incentive to take something and complete it as quickly as you can. Certainly if it's up here at the top.
Yeah, so I've seen different strategies as well in this game. You want to focus on even the attic to give you really, but this is not the main strategy, obviously. This gives you really bonus. This is very important, and this is also very important. Well, everything's really important, and you have to look at this one, surely.
That one is a promo card.
Yes, so this is cute.
Yes.
That's basically it. I really enjoy it. Will it make my top 10 games of 2022? You have to wait for it. So that is it. Woodcraft, it comes highly recommended from me because of those things that I mentioned. There's special that makes it unique, it's cute, but connecting with the cuteness and the complexity of the game. So I thought this game would be a little bit lighter because of the artwork. But it's not. So I got fooled by it a little bit, but did not disappoint. And that's Woodcraft.
That's it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you have played it, let us know what you think of this game as well. And if you enjoy it somehow, please click the like button and subscribe to us if you haven't already done so. We do videos like this, how to play, my short and sweet, live playthrough almost every weekend and so on. I'm also on Instagram, so hopefully we'll find each other there and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!